Okay, I think we can get started. We have a good number of folks who have joined, and I'm sure some people will trickle in. But anyway, hello, everybody. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. Welcome to 3 Ways to Celebrate Farm to School Month webinar. So my name is Katie Velazquez, and I work at the Food Trust, which is a Philadelphia-based nonprofit organization working to ensure that everyone has access to affordable, nutritious food and the information to make healthy decisions. And I'm going to be facilitating today's webinar and introducing our panelists. So we have 4 presenters who are from the Pennsylvania Farm to School Network leadership team, and they're going to be discussing ways to celebrate Farm to School Month, which kicks off just around the corner in October. So before we begin, I just wanted to share a couple of notes. This webinar is being recorded, and it's going to be uploaded to our website. All registrants will also receive a copy of the slides as well as a copy of the recorded webinar. I've also enabled closed captioning for your convenience. So if you'd like to use that, just make sure that you enable your subtitles. The presentation should last about 30 minutes, and then we'll have about 10 to 15 minutes at the end for questions. So if you do have any questions, just pop them into the chat box or the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. And my colleague Emily will be reviewing those at the end of the webinar. So as many of you know, October is Farm to School Month, and Farm to School Month is an annual campaign to recognize and celebrate connections between kids and their families and their local food systems. And so the goal of today's webinar is to learn about 3 farm to school initiatives that you can implement in your communities, and also that you can implement in hopes of celebrating Farm to School Month. So the 3 topics that we'll be covering today include the Pennsylvania Harvest of the Month program, Apple Crunch events, and PA Preferred Days. So I'll be sure to introduce our speakers before each presentation, and their contact information will be posted on the slide directly after their presentations. And then you'll also get their contact information in your follow-up email if you have more specific questions for them. So I'm going to go ahead and mute myself, and I will pass it along to you guys, Audrey and Elaine. But before you guys start, I just want to quickly give an overview. So Audrey and Elaine, they are going to be speaking about Harvest of the Month. And Audrey is a public health nutritionist at the Division of Food and Nutrition within the Pennsylvania Department of Education, and she oversees the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program. And Elaine works at Penn State University as the director of Project PA, which is a collaboration between the Pennsylvania Department of Education and Penn State University, and they provide technical assistance and training to food service personnel. So now I will mute myself and pass it over to you guys.
Thank you so much, Katie. And thanks to all of you for joining us this afternoon to think ahead just a couple of short weeks to Farm to School Month. So Elaine and I will be sharing about Pennsylvania Harvest of the Month, and most of you probably or hopefully have heard something about it so far. So this project has been something that various folks here in Pennsylvania have been thinking about for some time, but it came to take shape through a 2019 USDA Farm to School grant, and there's actually a 2020 Farm to School grant that's helping to build on some of the work, which we'll touch on in a little bit. And it's a collaboration between Project PA at Penn State and the Pennsylvania Department of Education to develop a program. So Pennsylvania Harvest of the Month is all about connecting Pennsylvania children and Pennsylvania food. So the items that were chosen to be featured are all Pennsylvania agricultural products, and the resources that have been developed are to be used in school meal programs, childcare settings, summer meal programs, to help children to become more aware of information and significance of these foods, how they're grown, where they come from. And in terms of procurement, to have the children actually eating healthy local foods, and to provide some additional market for Pennsylvania producers. To develop the program, there were a lot of resources to tap into. Many states have their own statewide Harvest of the Month programs. Of course, we wanted to create the Pennsylvania version of this, so we didn't want to mimic any other state exactly, but there were a lot of lessons learned that many folks in other states were generous to share with us from what they've learned in developing their Harvest of the Month programs. And there have been a number of Harvest of the Month programs or something similar throughout Pennsylvania, whether in school districts or health organizations or vendors. Have numerous entities have had some sort of Harvest of the Month in Pennsylvania. So we consulted with them as well and compared the calendar of what items they feature each month and that kind of thing. We also talked with produce distributors who work with schools in Pennsylvania to see what items they have in volume at what points in the year, and got a lot of input from food service directors in terms of what items they thought might be realistic in different months, as well as what types of promotional materials would be helpful to them in promoting those items. So based on those conversations, largely with the producers, as well as with the food service directors, we developed the suggested calendar. And you'll see there's some alternate items, and we encourage child nutrition program operators to be flexible with this. None of the materials have a month printed on them. So if in the part of Pennsylvania that a given child care center is, or school, for example, there's an abundance of tomatoes into September, it's perfectly fine for them to feature tomatoes in September. Or if there are months that they can't find the suggested item, they can rely on the potatoes, eggs, or broccoli as alternates, and there are promotional materials that highlight each of those as well. And you've already seen on some of the slides the logo that was developed that includes Pennsylvania Harvest of the Month items. And Elaine will very shortly take you through a quick tour of the website that shows where to find the materials that are available. And as she'll show you, there are lots of different types of resources, and they're all downloadable. And anyone can access the website. It's not required to register. So posters of various types, large posters, small signage of sort of did you know fact sheets, or did you know sort of little quiz question types of signs, and then fact sheets which are designed with the school nutrition program in mind, newsletters that could go home to families, either virtually or in hard copies. Again, multiple types of signage for serving lines to place on tables in a cafeteria, for example. Some suggested social media posts, newer development, and this was part of the funding from the 2020 Farm to School grant to branch out more to childcare and summer food settings. A set of preschool activity sheets was developed. And then there's a recipe section of the website that has, for most of the items, a nice selection of school nutrition recipes for each of the items. Childcare recipes for either childcare home settings or childcare centers will be added shortly. And there are also recipes for the scale of a family in a home setting, so families could also use them. And then lots of, or a couple different basic images that can be used by the program operator to add to their menu or in their own publicity about their implementation of Harvest of the Month. Next one. So the main launch of Pennsylvania Harvest of the Month was during a very challenging school year, the 2021 year. So we were thrilled with whatever we heard that schools or childcare centers or in the summer settings were able to implement, along with the many other adaptations that they were needing to make over this last year. School food service contacts and recently childcare and summer food contacts have been added to the monthly newsletter list, although anybody who would like to receive it can sign up. Elaine can point that out on the homepage of the website. As mentioned, there's no registration involved. Anybody can get onto the website and download the materials. we've been grateful for collaboration with the School Nutrition Association of Pennsylvania for promotion of Pennsylvania Harvest of the Month through a webinar series last school year, as well as through their virtual conference this summer. And as mentioned, we're expanding the promotion of the program to childcare and summer meals programs. So with that, I'll turn it over to Elaine for a peek at the website, and then she'll talk a little bit about how some programs have already been implementing Pennsylvania Harvest of the Month.
Thank you, Audrey. I'm just going to start sharing a screen. Okay, as Audrey mentioned, I'm going to give you a little bit of a walkthrough through our website so you know where to find some of the items that might be useful to help you in celebrating National Farm to School Month. The website is paharvestofthemonth.org. You will find as you scroll down the calendar that Audrey showed, our Pennsylvania Harvest of the Month calendar. Some ideas for ways to implement Harvest of the Month. I won't go through these, but hopefully you will come back and take a look at those to get some ideas. As you scroll down further, there's some links to help people procure local Harvest of the Month items, links that other organizations have developed that we have just promoted on our site. And then the Pennsylvania Harvest of the Month monthly e-newsletter. As Audrey mentioned, school food service contacts, CACFP, and summer meal contacts are automatically subscribed to this monthly newsletter, but anyone is free to subscribe to the newsletter by just entering their name and email address. And it's just a monthly newsletter that introduces the following month's Harvest of the Month item. So to show you where you would find some materials, probably the most useful site or area of the site is this downloads area. And on that tab, you will find materials organized by month. So you'll see right now, August, September, and October, but we have all of the items if you scroll down. So under each month, there's a wide variety of items that Audrey has already mentioned: fact sheets, newsletters, posters, various kinds of signage. They can each be downloaded individually, or if you would prefer, there is a zip file that you can download to have all of the items for that month. So just to show you some of the items I've already downloaded, this is the fact sheet for September, which is peppers. All of the fact sheets follow a standard format. So there's some background information, some kind of interesting did you know facts, then information about how to select the item, how to store it, how to handle it, the nutritional value of the item, how it fits in the school meal lunch pattern, the harvest season in Pennsylvania, and the second page gives some ideas for preparing the item, various ways that it can be prepared, and also includes a standardized recipe appropriate for school food service. So it has all of the necessary crediting information and the Primero Edge recipe code. In addition to that fact sheet, we also have something called a family newsletter that's very similar to the fact sheet, but it targets families. And it has all of the same components, except that the recipe is in a family-sized recipe. So I think you saw some of the items. Here's the general item signage for the month. Peppers. So this is an 8.5 by 11 full color. It's available for every month. And as you'll see, it doesn't mention the month on it. So although we've designated peppers as the September item, this could be used anytime you're interested in promoting peppers. We go back. Audrey mentioned the preschool activity sheets. This is the last kind of one that I will show you. These are developed for each month. On this sheet, the student or the child would count the peppers and color them. So that could be a nice little activity talking about the variety of different colors that peppers can come in, as well as being a coloring activity. Also on the site, Audrey mentioned recipes. We are compiling recipes both for use in homes and school food service. If you click on the food service tab, recipes are organized by Harvest of the Month item. If you go into peppers, you'll see the items that we have featured for peppers, again, all with the crediting information and the Primero Edge recipe code. And I'll add that we are just about to start adding some recipes that would be appropriate for CACFP settings. So lots more information on the website. We don't have time to go through it all, but hopefully you'll come back and explore that a bit. And then Katie, if you wouldn't mind, now we could continue with the presentation. I'll stop sharing. So as Audrey mentioned, we rolled out this program in a school year that was very challenging for school districts across the nation. But we did find that there were school districts in Pennsylvania that really did take this and run with it. First one I want to talk about was Troy, and I do see that Bonnie Bixby is joining us today as a participant. So thanks, Bonnie, for implementing the program and sharing with us what you were doing. Troy actually submitted or released a press release about their Harvest of the Month implementation, and that's how we came to know about it. So this shows them doing the promotion of the peppers for last September. And Bonnie shared with us at that time that some of the students assumed that the red peppers were hot. And they were surprised to learn from the cafeteria staff that they were actually sweet. So they were, then became interested in sampling those peppers. And we also see a student sampling cabbage, which is the December item. I also see that Melissa Freestone is joining us as well today. Melissa is at Spring Grove Area School District, and she implemented the program throughout the school district and had several social media posts about it. This particular slide highlights that they also formed a partnership with the local Parks and Rec preschool. So the program was also implemented at the preschool level. And in these photos, Melissa is preparing a smoothie made from dairy and leafy greens. So she has covered 2 of the Harvest of the Month items. Finally, we have Grove City Area School District. Their food service director is Jen Reeser. Grove City was the recipient of an opportunity that the Pennsylvania Department of Health made available. They received a virtual chef consultation, so they had some time to consult with a chef about implementing Pennsylvania Harvest of the Month, and then they served 2 Pennsylvania Harvest of the Month featured items on the lunch menu each month. And you can see here the romaine apple spinach salad and apple cranberry coleslaw, and the I tried it stickers that they posted on the salads. So what's next for Pennsylvania Harvest of the Month? Well, we plan to continue to promote it to schools. This is definitely not a one-year program. This is meant to continue. As Audrey mentioned, our follow-up funding allows us to expand to CACFP and summer meals. Through Team Nutrition funding, we're working with 10 school districts in the state to develop more recipes featuring Harvest of the Month items. We have a Farm to Child Nutrition Summit planned for next February at the Farm Show Complex in Harrisburg. And one of the sessions we expect will talk about Pennsylvania Harvest of the Month promotion. We had wanted to do culinary training sessions last summer and this summer. We weren't able to do them in any widespread format, but we do have some planned for next summer. These will target school food service employees, and several of the recipes that will be featured will be those that feature Pennsylvania Harvest of the Month items. So thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them at the end, and I'll turn it over to Amy.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you for presenting on that. And I'm super excited to dig into the website. There's a lot of great materials on there. So next up, we have Amy, and she will be presenting on Apple Crunch events. And Amy is a social media and event specialist from Penn State Pro Wellness. So I will mute myself and pass it over to you, Amy.
Great, thank you, Katie. And thank you everyone for joining us this afternoon. It's exciting to hear our friends from Pennsylvania Harvest of the Month talk before me, because I do work with them on both Apple Crunch and our Go for the Greens events with Penn State Pro Wellness. But just a quick background, Penn State Pro Wellness is a nonprofit through the university. So we are grant funded on all of our projects. And Apple Crunch actually falls through our school program called Healthy Champions, which I'm going to get to a little bit later. But Apple Crunch is our signature event for nutrition for the fall. So it takes place every October during National Apple Month. We usually encourage schools that a fun tie-in would be to celebrate it on National Apple Day. This year it's on October 21st. But similar to Pennsylvania Harvest of the Month, our materials that we send out to schools for Apple Crunch do not have a date on it, because we want to make sure schools are flexible to celebrate whenever they're available. But we are encouraging students and everybody in the whole school to kind of go out and celebrate the funs of eating apples, from everything from picking an apple at an orchard to eating the apples in school, to learning about how different apples have different colors and how some are great for taste testing versus some are great for baking. So we just have fun providing a lot of information to the schools about things that they can do with the students to show the benefits of apples. So kind of mentioned here, here are some great ways that people can celebrate Apple Crunch and apples in general. So taste testing and a variety of apples. So we all know the difference. There's like Honeycrisp, you have the Granny apples, Red Delicious. I know when we went to a school that was shown actually on the first slide, we had students who normally would have a Red Delicious apple for school. And they were surprised that when we came to them and brought Honeycrisp apples, they were just surprised at how different they tasted. They couldn't believe it. And we said, no, different apples have different tastes depending upon the tree and where they're from, and some are great for baking. So we had a lot of fun with the students and showing them that there are different types of apples. We brought examples of each, but for them to actually taste the apples and for them to see the difference is really the impact we were hoping to make, to show them that not just one apple is the same and they might look differently, but they each have a different taste and different benefit. Another thing that we do, we encourage cooking with the apples. So we have a newsletter that when schools enroll to be a part of our Healthy Champions program and get information about Apple Crunch, we share healthy recipe options. So we give recipes that are easy for families to make at home, such as homemade applesauce or doing apple cider. We encourage schools to work with the students on different crafts and activities. We had a school a couple of years ago, as you can see on the picture on the left, who encouraged their Apple Crunch celebration. Happened to fall on Bullying Prevention Week. So what they did was they cut out little apples for students to hang on an apple tree with different words of encouragement to kind of share with all the students in their school. So they had fun tying in their Apple Crunch event with another event that was taking place. And then another thing that we had fun doing, we like to go and celebrate Apple Crunch with schools sometimes during their lunch hour, and we'll actually sit down. This is pre-COVID, so we would sit down with the kids, and we had fun asking them just different trivia questions about apples, saying like, hey, you know, Pennsylvania is one of, you know, the top 5 states in the country to produce apples. Like, who else do you think produces the most apples? And like, it's fun hearing the kids engaging with us and saying why they think, oh, well, Washington can't be producing apples. I'm like, well, they're in the top 5. So it's fun having that engaging conversation with them and asking them like, hey, do you know how an apple tree is grown? And, you know, do you think you can do that at home? And just having those conversations and really engaging with the students to have them learn about apples a little bit more. And the screen's not flipping, Katie, on my end. Yeah, on my end, it's on ways to celebrate. I mean, but keep talking because I know what would be coming next. But we have also on our website, we have some great resources that when you enroll in Healthy Champions, there we go. Perfect. So on our website, we have some great resources. We have videos, we have printables that every school gets access to. Schools will receive an all-star kit beginning of the school year. Those are getting ready to go out to schools here in the next couple of weeks. They include the signature event posters, decals saying, hey, we're a Healthy Champion school, for them to probably display like in their office or a window coming into the main school entrance. They also get some general health and wellness information, but here are just a whole bunch of more information that they can download and print out to use. So we create stickers for the schools that they can use, newsletters we already have preloaded for them that all they have to do is change out the information for their school, morning announcements, letters to the families letting them know what they're doing. We try to make it as easy as possible for the schools to really engage with the students and then parents at home to let them know what they're going to be doing to celebrate Apple Crunch. And then another one of our resources that we have is our Pinterest resources. So we have a Pinterest page for Penn State Pro Wellness where you can find information on the perfect way to choose apples, fun activities that you can do with children, worksheets, different types of artwork that you can do to have fun with apples, but depending upon the age range, I know a lot of this information that we have, sometimes people feel is very elementary focused, but we do make sure that we can have fun engaging with the older students as well. And it's not flipping on my end again, Katie, I'm sorry. But to give you a little bit more information about, so Apple Crunch is one of our 4 signature events for our Healthy Champions School program. The program has been around for about 10 years. This year, we're thankful to have our friends at the Giant Company to help support us with the program, that We have over 600 schools that receive our Healthy Champions All-Star Kit and access to our portal online. It is a free program for schools to enroll. When the slide pops up, we have a link to our website, which will also be provided to everybody after the webinar. But schools are encouraged to go in and enroll, and all you have to do is take a assessment that's based upon school WISC information. And it's actually something that if you are involved with the general office facilities, you know that every school is required through the Every Student Succeeds Act to complete a wellness assessment. Our assessment's actually part of that. So if you complete our assessment, you already have that covered then for you to submit then for future use. And we'll provide every school a rating based on your responses, telling you, hey, you scored really great here, and like here's an area for improvement. Here's how you can improve your score in this area for school wellness. But our registration is still open. Schools can enroll through the end of September for this program to get our great resources. And then schools can reach out to us who are interested in having us come to the school. We do school appearances that are limited based on everything that's taking place right now with COVID. So we'll evaluate all that information and get approval to come out to the schools and provide, you know, Apple's activity sheets, etc. But those are definitely something that you can request, but aren't always guaranteed depending upon everything that's taking place. So if you have any questions, you feel free to reach out to me. My email address is arine@psu.edu. And if you have any questions at the end, I do have to jump off in about 15 minutes, but I'm happy to answer any questions if you send me an email as well after the fact. But I know Katie is still stuck on the portal resource.
Katie, is your unmute working?
No, none of my,
Oh, I can hear you.
oh, you can?
Yes. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Okay,
Sorry,
I'm
technical
so
difficulty.
sorry. All of my Zoom functions are frozen right now, so anything I click will work, and I'm not quite sure. So if
Do you want me to try sharing my screen?
it's okay, I think my PowerPoint's working.
Oh, okay, great.
My Zoom functions are working. So, but anyway, thank you, Amy. That was really insightful. I know at the Food Trust, we are planning to do an Apple Crunch with our pre-K and kindergarten students, and we might be doing it virtually, but it'll be fun either way. So thank you for all the ideas. And so next, I'm hoping you guys can see the slide. We have Patrick Andrews, and he will be presenting on PA Preferred Day. Can you guys see the slide? Just give me a thumbs up, Patrick.
Yeah, I don't see, it still says the portal resources for me over here. But that's all right.
I'm so sorry.
I think I only gave you one slide anyway, so I'll just talk. The great thing is the beauty of PA Preferred Days is its simplicity. So PA Preferred Days is really us asking school food officials to take a stab at local procurement. And before I go too far into it, I do just want to give a shout out to Devin Sunderberg, who's on this call. Devin is actually the originator of PA Preferred Days, and she's at the Philadelphia School District, came up with the idea of picking a day in October, Farm to School Month, and featuring local producers who either PA Preferred members or would qualify to be PA Preferred members, but local producers of some different products in the menu for that day, marketing it to the kids, letting them know about it, getting them to think about the difference of the experience they're having, eating these local products compared to what they're normally served, and you know, telling people about it, letting the community know, letting the parents know what's going on. So it's really kind of sticking your big toe into the local procurement pool, if you will, or even a stepping stone into participating in something like Harvest of the Month or a full-blown, robust local procurement program by just celebrating Farm to School in the month, in Farm to School Month, by featuring local products on your menu for one day. So as one of my good friends said to me once, all of my best ideas are someone else's. So we took Devin's idea and made it like a statewide thing, you know, and have been working on promoting it. And what we're doing from the Department of Ag is, you know, first of all, we have the ask of everybody to participate. We are also sending out the secretary to a few of the schools to visit on their particular PA preferred day that they're doing. Talk to the kids and to the staff about what's going on, who they're working with, meeting the producers, even like to have the producers come to the cafeteria for the day if it's possible. But we're also the first 20 people, the first 20 districts that register for PA preferred days. We are providing a $500 stipend to absorb some of the costs. So in addition to just purchasing the food, there's also, you know, the cost of perhaps some of the marketing materials you might print to send home to parents, or, you know, plaster on the walls of the cafeteria or put on the tray. And so we're hoping to alleviate some of those costs and make it more attractive to get everybody to try, because we do acknowledge the fact that this is doing something very different, right? Food service professionals have a very finely tuned, well-oiled machine when it comes to procurement. And here we are asking you to do something different. And it can be kind of like, oh, I'm not sure if I want to do that or not. It can be a little painful or anxiety producing to consider, but we know from experience that it works just fine if you just take the time to figure it out. So we're trying to sweeten the pot, if you will, by providing a little bit of financial incentive to try this. So as the slide says here, we want you to strike up a business relationship with a local PA farmer, you know, and maybe our hope is that maybe if you try this out, maybe you'll think, you know, that price was pretty good. I think I can make this work, especially if I use geographic preference. Maybe I'll buy from them next month too, you know, and maybe these relationships last further than just the month of October. So that's one of our goals. And certainly we want you to get feedback from your kids about the experience, especially if they got to meet any of the farmers that came, if they came into any of the cafeterias where you might be serving these meals. And just try to step outside your bubble of what you normally do. Try a new thing. So I should have put the link for registration in that slide, but I'm going to go ahead and paste it here in the chat. It just says forums.office.com and then a bunch of other characters. So there's a registration form you fill out. The qualifications are that they have to either be a PA preferred member, and if you contact me and I have contact information, you can put up the next slide if you can, Kate. I can provide you a list of our members now that you can kind of sort through and see who might be in your area. You're certainly welcome to just go to a farmer's market or drive out to a farm market, talk to the farmer. If there's a manufacturer who's using Pennsylvania agricultural products and the product that they're making, like say a pasta sauce maker or somebody like that, they could possibly qualify for the program. We're happy for you to use folks that aren't in the program yet, even though this is a PA preferred sponsored program. Because what we're going to ask you to do is tell us about those folks that you bought the food from, and so you list them in your registration form, and we'll reach out to them later and see if we can get them to join PA preferred, because we're trying to grow the program as much as we can. I guess, is that next slide not coming up? Okay.
On my end it is, but it won't project to you guys. I'm so sorry.
No worries. What I'm going to do is, oh no, I know what it is by heart. I don't need to look here. I'm just going to type in here.
A copy of the slides will be sent to everyone within 24 hours. And there will also be a copy of the webinar that will be sent out.
Okay, cool. So the next thing that I just put in the chat there is the resource account for farm to school programs that you can reach me through. And if you have questions about this, because I'm kind of blathering on it, so you probably have a bunch of questions if you're thinking about this. So feel free to reach out to me. I actually monitor that resource account, so it's really coming to me. I just compartmentalize farm to school in there, so I have like a good record of what kind of inquiries I'm getting. I also administer the Farm to School Grant Program, the Pennsylvania Farm to School Grant Program, not the USDA one, and have a training that I do for farmers to teach them how to work with schools and selling through the schools. So if you have any questions at all about farm to school stuff and how it intersects with the Department of Agriculture, please feel free to reach out to me there. Please sign up. I do want to say one more thing about qualification. So, because I've had a few like early care and education settings reach out to me about participating in PA preferred days, and which I love and we want. We want everybody in the world to do this, to work with local producers and try it out, and we want to celebrate you. However, I don't have the money that I have to send out for stipends. I don't have approval for that for those settings. I only have approval for that for public schools. I will revisit that for next year. And certainly if we don't have enough public schools registering, I would give out the stipends to whoever, in the ECE world registered first. But that's just kind of like a caveat. I just wanted to clear because I've had a few questions about that already. And yeah, I think that covered everything that I wanted to say. So sorry if I talk too fast.
Well, I'm very sorry that about the technical issues, but we will make sure that everyone on this in attendance here will get everyone's contact information so that if you do have more specific questions, you can reach out. And so that actually concludes our webinar for today. And so I really hope that you guys got some ideas about implementing farm to school initiatives. And now you have a couple of resources and folks you could reach out to if you'd like to implement any of these programs in your school this upcoming year. So we do have a couple of minutes left. I wanted to shift to Emily in case anyone had questions. I don't see a ton in the chat, but if you do have any, you can put them in now. And Emily, if you want to facilitate and ask our presenters any questions that pop up.
So we do have someone asking, before the training is over, do I need to send my name and the name of my center to you? I'm not sure what training that would be referring to. Do you mean this webinar? Yes. So I believe we have all of the contact information from the registration. So we'll be sending out the recording and the slides as well. Is that correct, Katie?
Yep.
And we will send the contact information of all of the presenters, yes.
Any other questions? Okay. Well, I really wish the slide that had all of the presenters' info was connecting to you right now, but we'll make sure to get all of that to you guys within 24 hours. So just check your inbox for that information. And so that concludes our webinar. Thanks again for joining us today, and we really appreciate you taking your time out of your day to learn about these different initiatives. And again, I apologize for the technical issues. But we hope you feel inspired to celebrate Farm to School Month. So hopefully you'll be in touch with some of us about any questions or support that we can provide. And thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.